Hey guys, welcome. Welcome aboard. If you are brand new, welcome back. If you're not, and welcome home if that fits perfectly for you. At any rate, let's get busy. We have a week, right? Let's talk about what's up this week. This is the week of May the 12th through the 18th of May 2025. Let's get right in. On Monday, honestly, our biggest event of the week is on Monday, the 12th. We start the week out at 11:56 a.m. Central Time with a Scorpio full moon at 22 degrees. As always, that means the moon is opposing the sun. Not long after, Mercury in Taurus will square Pluto, retrograding in Aquarius, and that Scorpio moon is going to move on to quincunx, both Jupiter and Chiron, and then oppose Uranus. This new moon is really holding some bright and very powerful space on Monday. Be open to some unexpected insights and the changes that those awarenesses might necessitate, right? So the key here is to be aware of what's coming in so that you can adapt and overcome. Angle toward growth and expansion, really actively letting go of any old patterns or old beliefs. Amplification is going to be a strong theme of this new moon. The key when it comes to amplification is always being extra aware of what it is that you're expressing, so that when you amplify it, it is worthy, right? That is a thing that we always need to pay attention to. Always, always, always. Yeah, absolutely. On Tuesday, that Scorpio moon is going to trine Saturn, and then the moon moves into Sagittarius. This is overnight, right? Unless you're an overnight shift worker, you will not feel that directly, but you might notice it as you're sleeping. That Sag moon on Tuesday will trine Neptune, and will sextile Pluto and Mercury before squaring, wow, trining Venus at the end of the day. Um, Sag Moon, right? This is activating a loose grand fire trine, which is kind of fun. So be open to experiments, be open to new experiences, right? This is a day when doing something that you've never done before um, might be, let's call it unexpectedly thrilling, and also may result in a shift in your life experience, right? Sagittarius is all about immersion learning. So pay attention to what you're learning, what meaning you're attaching to it. Um, Anything that you've never done before, uh, that experience might have, like I said, long term consequences. Um, and it might be absolutely delightful. So just be mindful. Just be mindful. Um, just try it out, right? Remember that we saw him first. Remember that uh, you don't have to wear your new coat that you try on. You just have to try it on and see how it fits. On Wednesday, that Sag Moon is going to trine Mars in Leo. So here's the deal: if you kind of dredge the past today, you might find some skeletons that you forgot were there, and it might leave you a little bit shook. Now, the key is, as you move, use caution, because if you're moving with that energy of shock or surprise, it can kind of knock you off course in a way that you don't exactly love. So, the concept of delicacy, right, as you're moving, it might be hard to hold in your field, right, with a Sag moon and a Leo Mars. However, if you can move with that delicacy, or at least approach things with that delicacy, you will definitely appreciate it later. So keep it in mind, right? See how it feels to you. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. On Thursday the 15th, that Sag moon is going to oppose Jupiter, quincunx both the Sun in Taurus and Uranus, trine Chiron, square Saturn, and then in the late afternoon, the moon will move into Capricorn and then square Neptune. So this is one of those days when getting stuff done might be challenging. Um, Here's the deal. Through the afternoon, if you have a hard time settling down into the routine of your tasks, use your tools, right? Keep coming back to what it is that you're looking to accomplish. After the moon moves into Capricorn, which is mid afternoon, that pressure might ease up and become the need to kind of move into fantasy, right? You might find yourself daydreaming or getting very distracted. So, all I can say to you is on Thursday, plan for a moderate workload day, right? You're probably not going to get a lot accomplished. So just if you plan for it, it's easier to forgive yourself, right? On Friday, the 16th, that Capricorn moon is going to trine Mercury, square Venus, and quincunx Mars. Now, here's the deal. If you're feeling expressive, right, your silver tongue might get you into a little bit of trouble on Friday. Um, if you can keep a strong focus on home, right? When we're talking about any Venus interaction, especially that square to Venus in Aries, we're talking about what home feels like, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it tastes like. And remember, always that is your experience alone. So if you can focus on that sense of home and the way that you want your reality and your surroundings to feel, um, it might kind of seem like there's a little bit of quid pro quo going on today. Uh, the fact of the matter is, as you're creating, um, what you believe that experience of home will cost you, you see me air quoting, um, what you believe the shift into that experience will cost you is exactly what it will cost you. So pay attention to what you believe you're going to have to exchange in order to create that experience. And ask yourself why you believe there needs to be an exchange, right? On Saturday, the 17th, that Cap moon will quincunx Jupiter and square Chiron. The Taurus sun will conjunct Uranus. Wow. And that then the moon will trine Uranus and the sun and sextile Saturn before Mercury squares Mars. Here's the deal. On Saturday, the 17th of May, please do not make any plans. um, there is a requirement of flow on Saturday. And the fact of the matter is, it will be easier for you to navigate if you just allow the day to have you. Commit to showing up, commit to responding to whatever it is that appears. And if you can stay loose and flexible, you'll be able to surf, right? But if you are trying to steer your day, you might discover that those other plans that the universe has are going to leave you tired and exhausted and gasping for breath. So keep your knees soft, keep breathing, and just commit to showing up and responding. And then on Sunday, the 18th, the moon moves into Aquarius. 29 minutes into the day, that Aquarius moon will sextile Neptune and conjunct Pluto. And then Jupiter in Gemini will sextile Chiron. Here's the deal. Oh, nice. That new narrative that you have been working on in the background, right? Today on Sunday will come into focus. Okay. So the way that you're framing that story is absolutely the way that it's showing up in your reality. So make certain that it is worthy of retelling. Like we talked about on Monday, make sure it's worthy of amplification. If you end up being confronted by circumstances or situations or people that trigger you on Sunday, just keep coming back into your now and start the tale over and over again, as many times as it takes. It's your story, right? You are writing it, you are editing it, you're directing it, and you're starring in it. So make it your tale. Ready? Let's talk. On Monday, we have the King of Pentacles and the Three of Wands. So we're talking about new moon space, right, in Sagittarius. And we're talking about unexpected insights and the courage to shift and change with them. The King of Pentacles absolutely gives you the power and the resourcedness to be able to shift into whatever you need to so that that future that you have chosen comes into reality, right? We're not looking at being stuck, right? This is the King of Pentacles. He knows that change is inevitable. He knows that change is part of the experience, but he's also in control of his change. And as such, whatever comes in the future absolutely comes naturally and powerfully, right? With all of the resources necessary. So as you're letting go of those old patterns and beliefs, keep angling toward that growth, that expansion, that future planning. You know what it is. Don't be afraid to root very, very deeply and be in expectation of powerful change, right? On Tuesday, we have the Six of Wands and the Moon. So, Six of Wands is about victory, right? This is a victory card. This is accomplishment. This is making what you're looking for a reality. This is also about recognition. And then we have the Moon, right? The Moon can be things that are hidden, the Moon can also be cycles, right? So, we're talking about this as a day of doing things that might be something you've never done before, right? Trying something on, right? As if you slip into it, all you're doing is slipping in. Don't be afraid to try it on, right? You don't have to wear it, but if you want to, you can. Um, you might discover that you like the thing that you're trying on, right? That it's a beginning to a new cycle, and that's okay. Either way, it's okay. So just don't be afraid to step out of your box. On Wednesday, the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Pentacles, right? Now, if you paid attention, we have a few aces here, so I like that. I think three. So, Queen of Swords, Ace of Pentacles. We talked about this as the day of delicacy, right? If you can manage the delicacy. We talked about this as a day where things might come up that rock you. Well, the Queen of Swords is always going to allow you to come back to your groundedness, right? Just along with this Ace of Pentacles. And remember that this Ace of Pentacles comes with this giant opportunity to move into something new as you allow that sort of truth to do its job. So there's no need to fret about what comes up. If you're able to really lean into the precision of this day, right? This is the day to move with laser focus, right? Not to be the bull. Even though we have an Ace of Pentacles, right? We don't want to be bullish. We want to be surgical, right? With our movement. On Thursday, we have the Emperor and the Two of Swords, right? This is lovely. We talked about how getting stuff done might be challenging. There might be um, confusion or a deep component of fantasy to what it is that you want to get done. So even the Emperor might be a little stuck in his indecision or in his capacity to really ground and function. So if we're going to plan, right, for this confusion, for this conflicting idea set, right, for this distraction, we can still be grounded. We can just witness it as part of the experience, right? If you're using your imagination and that sense of fantasy because you planned for a day where you're not really needing to be in deep accomplishment, then you can just kind of revel, right? We take this out of our general um, like expectation. We think that our productivity is who and what we are, but in fact, some days we require ourselves to be a little bit distracted, a little bit in fantasy. That's how our imagination works, right? And if we call it unproductive and a waste of time, then that's what it is. But if we call it um, productivity, if we call it vision time, right? Then who, who's uh, who's losing? No one. No one. On Friday, Three of Wands again, right? And the Page of Wands. So we talked about this as a day where your silver tongue might get you in a little trouble. So we have the Page of Wands. This is about impulse, right? Impulse that can pull you off of your long-term mission. Here's the deal. If you're focusing on your sense of home, right? We talked about that too. If you really want to make sure that you are experiencing what you're experiencing and conjuring it as your future, if you believe, well, in order to get that, I have to give this up, that's going to be true. But if you just think, oh, I can add this beautifully to my experience, and it's not going to require me to sacrifice anything. If you load it up that way, then you're in business, right? Then you don't give up anything. That sense of quid pro quo isn't existent in every exchange. In fact, why does it have to be an exchange? Can't it just be a point of reception? Well, guess what? It can if that's what you believe. um, Saturday. You have the Tower and the Wheel. So we're going to pay attention because these are cards of movement. Both of them are cards of rapid movement. And please don't think that the fact that Uranus is conjunct the Sun on this day and we have the Tower and the Wheel is an accident. We talked about this as a day of not making plans. We talked about this as a day of going with the flow, of committing to showing up, right? The wheel asks you to be in position at the hub, right? Not on the outside, moving up and down, feeling like you're a victim, not even being a spoke where it's still laborious to go through the cycles. Instead, we choose to be the hub of the wheel, at which point we witness things moving around us, but we are unfazed, right? We witness this as a necessary part of the cycles that we're supposed to go through. And if we can do that, then we're in business. And we don't witness these incoming Uranian kind of enlightenments or aha moments or insights to rock our entire experience. No, instead, we believe them to be an insertion into our consciousness, an insertion into our reality, right? It's just part of the flow of what we're doing. We can accumulate those experiences if we don't attach to them, right? So stay loose, stay flexible, if you are trying to steer this experience, you are going to be overwhelmed and exhausted. But if you witness the experience as part of what you're here to do, well, then bravo, right? You just say, oh, okay, so this is what's showing up. Let me respond. So stay in that space of welcome, stay in that space of curiosity, stay in that space of observing, and you're always in business. Even the Tower can't blow you off of your foundations if you are witnessing them wholly and totally. On Sunday, we have the Ace of Swords and the Two of Wands. You get all these wands this week, right? So we're talking about that new narrative that you have been working on, making sure that it is worthy of retelling because we're always choosing our highest and best, using that beautiful sword of truth to get rid of anything that is not working. And we talked about this as choosing those circumstances, situations, or people that trigger us, allowing us to come back, choosing to come back to the now, right? This now moment. This is the real world. This is, oh, there we go. This is that point of presence, right? And if you can come back into that point of presence over and over and over again, then all of the stuff that's happening out there around you doesn't really matter. Here's the deal. We have Abracadabra as our card this week from our hashtag Oracle deck. And guess what? This is so you speak it, so it shall become. Right? We talked about this as the narrative, coming back to your now, right? Speaking in terms of your healing, your long-term calling in, you're releasing the things that aren't serving you, your allowance of whatever state of mind and presence is required for you, your sense of home, your ability to be in flow. All of those things work perfectly if you are aligning with them as opposed to being in resistance to them, right? And then we have willing release, right? How cute is that? I love dandelions, by the way. I know people see weeds, but I see wishes, right? Here's the deal. This is this card. The key concepts are yielding to a divine plan, releasing attachment to form, especially if something isn't exactly what you expected or wanted, leaving room for serendipity. Some days you have to let go of your struggle to find an answer and focus on other things for a while. This doesn't mean giving up altogether or losing anything. Remember that in our co creative partnership with the divine, give and take isn't necessary. Did you hear that? Wow, I'm going to read it again. Remember that in our co creative partnership with the divine, give and take isn't necessary, right? You do your part by setting intentions and then take the necessary actions, but you must surrender the form, timing, and the how to your higher power. It's not about a quid pro quo. It's about claiming what is coming for you, right? There is a divine plan for each of us. When acting on this faith, you may find that your intense desire for something translates into a feeling of attachment and enlightenment. Right now, can you immerse yourself in this experience and allow the divine plan to unfold as it will on your behalf without interference? Did we not just talk about no resistance? Can you be open to receiving what is yours, even if it is not packaged in the form you thought you wanted? Perhaps if you look more deeply, you'll see that you've received the most perfect vibrational match to your most authentic wants and needs, right? Lead with that sense of home and trust that it will amplify. This is why it's so important to lead with that sense of home, because if you do, then you know what's coming back is going to be in alignment for you. Um, you have put in the work, you have defined your desires and felt them deeply. You have engaged your higher power. Now you must let go and see what transpires. This isn't always easy. Impatience erodes the foundations of your trust in the divine, right? Surrendering will truly serve your highest good. Knowing this truth in your heart, can that really be so difficult, right? Surrendering to the flow and allowing, right? The theme of this Scorpio full moon is about creating the meaning and then allowing anything to shift in alignment of that meaning, right? When you are all about what this means, what this feels like, then everything else falls in line and cannot help but come in as you have requested as long as you are willing to release your attachment to anything that isn't in alignment with your meaning. Y'all, be ready, right? This is a buckle up week. So, buckle up if you feel like you need to and be in alignment with your own sense of home. Have a blessed full moon, and I'll see you next time. Take care.